The easiest way to do that is to use what is called a primitive. Primitives can be any one of the shapes you see here, a cube, a cylinder, a sphere. You can also do things like toroids, or the donut shape over here on the left-hand side, or this coil that you see as well. Here I'm basically in the workspace that it would look like when you open up Fusion. I mean, there's no blank workspace. If I go and I try to close this model, it doesn't actually let me. It's, it needs to show something essentially. So it's in this untitled file that you see right here. If I want to go and access, an existing file, if I want to open something and maybe show you some existing primitive shapes that I've created, you go into the data panel. So this is what I was mentioning in that user interface presentation. So right up here is where you can go to, because I'm in this 3D workspace, it's you're not really seeing much here. If I go to rotate or change the view using the view cube, it's not really indicating any changes, right? Because there's nothing in reference to see there. So here I have, different planes that I can select so I can visualize, my XY plane, my XZ plane, or my YZ plane. So here's now I can see this, and I rotate this using my shift and wheel selection, or third mouse button, if you want to call it that. If I want to go and create just a block just to start from my modeling workspace, most of these menus have a little drop down indicator next to them. That's where you can get into deeper menu structures, or deeper commands, different commands. So if I use that drop down, you can see by default the one button at the top here is going to take me to a box, and you can see it's giving me a tooltip telling me this is what you'll create if you select this option. But here you're seeing all these other primitives that we have access to. So basically these top 6 that you see here are very simple. You don't really need you don't actually need sketches for the top 5. For the pipe, you need some sort of reference to use. But here, let's just go ahead and create a box. So I'm going to just click this button that you see here, and it changes my mouse cursor to indicate that I'm drawing a rectangle out right now. So you can see that my mouse cursor has changed to indicate that, and it's also giving me this tooltip saying, if you want to put a box somewhere in this workspace, then you need to select a plane or a planar face in which to sketch out a rectangular shape on. So, okay, I have the 3 planes that I was referring to that are in every 3D work environment. We'll just select the one that you see here, and this looks like it's my XZ plane, so I'm going to just select it. And just like that, I'm now sketching. And your interface might look a little bit different than mine. I've made a couple simple changes just related to the display settings. And you can see here, you can scroll in and look at some of these different display settings. But here I'm going to just click once to start this rectangular shape. And as the imagery suggests, it's doing a corner-to-corner rectangle. I mean, there's different types of rectangles that you can access, but right now it's doing a corner-to-corner rectangle, and I can just tell that by looking at the image next to my mouse cursor. So I can scroll this out, I can make it as big or as small as I want, and you'll see it's actually giving me dimensions. I can type in a dimension. If I have a very specific size in mind that I want to use, I can type in 3 here, or 4, a little miscue there, 2 here, enter, and there you go. It's going to lock those in. Then I just click again to finish creating that rectangular shape, and then I'm going to define now the thickness of this. It's as simple as that. I mean, you can actually create some pretty complex models starting from these primitives. I mean, at some point you'll probably want to get into some different types of shapes, and I can adjust the thickness by clicking and dragging on the arrow that is presented to me here. I can drag up and away from the plane that I was sketching onto, or down and away from the plane. Here I can specify a specific height again. So if I want to, if I want to make this 2 inches tall, I type that in. If I want to make it, 50 millimeters, I can type in 50 mm, and it's going to actually convert that in for me. So this is going to be the exact size. And we're making real life models here. We're actually making these to produce. We're making these to put into our cam, and cut these from steel or whatever material, aluminum that you're working with. So these are parametric designs. This is going to tie this down and make this exact shape that we're after. So once I'm done, I just hit enter, and we've created a very, very simple body that you see here. There's our first design, right? So that's about as simple as it gets in Fusion 360. Let's do something else here. So let's create another primitive, and just to kind of show you again the same workflow, just to give you an idea of how to do this one more time. We're going to use the drop down under create, and we're going to select to create a cylinder this time. So select cylinder, and again, if you move your mouse cursor in the graphics area and you don't know what it's looking for, just let go of the mouse for a second and see what it tells you in the tooltip there. So again, it's saying select a plane or a planar face in which to draw. Okay. Well, I added that in which to draw on part. But so if I wanted, just make this cylinder out in space, I could select one of the planes again that I was presented with at the beginning of this design, or I can actually attach the cylinder to my existing design. Maybe I want to make a boss that comes off the top of this. And so it's actually doing a very nice job of highlighting the different faces that I'm scrolling over. And, if I want to select actually a different face to sketch on, I can left click and hold, and that's going to open up my select other option, so I can actually select the back face of this model to sketch on too. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to just click the top face here, and I'm going to add a real simple cylindrical boss on the top of this. We'll make it 1 inch in diameter, and just click to drop that. And then again, I'm presented with the option to change the height of this. I can go up and away to add material. I could also go down and into the model, and now it's actually doing something else there. It's actually removing that shape from the cube that we created previously. So you can use these primitives to cut. You can use these primitives to add material. You can use them for a lot of different things. So here it's cutting down into the cylinder, or sorry, into the cube, and I can actually just do this whole all the way through this model, and just like that, we've created a real simple body to work off of. That's your introduction to the simplest way to design something in Fusion 360. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. But let's jump into getting into a little bit more advanced. You can actually do a lot with those primitives, but let's see what else you can do.